So what's the issue you have? Because a lot of people say you have issues with Pastor Enenche. I mean, is there any problem?
I don't have any issues with him. I was teaching years ago in a ministers' conference.
Yes.
And I was teaching the pastors, and I told them an illustration. I used Enenche's illustration, how that he used to be under me, working in my branch church in Jos.
Yes.
Under Reverend Joshua Talena.
Oh, he's your boy?
Yes, under Reverend Joshua Talena, actually.
Wow.
Joshua Talena is my boy. He grew up under me with Paul Odola and all of them. And then I was giving the illustration of how he wanted to go into ministry.
Okay.
But he decided to go to the UK for for master's degree with his wife.
Okay.
But they didn't know anybody in London.
Okay.
Now, Becky's mother, the wife's mother, was the treasurer of our church in Jos for years, her mother. In fact, we played a role in making the mother allow them get married because there was a little opposition. And I know I spoke to the mother personally, but that by the side. So I was giving this illustration of how he came to me and he said, if I have people in the UK that can give him scholarship, him and his wife want to go and read masters, so that when they come back from the UK, they can start medical missions from village to village and all of that. So I told him, okay, they gave me the letters. I still have copies of the letters. So I said, okay, I'll pray about it and I'll talk to you guys. I gave them my guest house, they stayed. My guest room, they stayed. I prayed that night, and in the morning, the Spirit of God spoke to me that no, he shouldn't go to London. He should go and start ministry now. And I woke up in the morning and I called him and the wife and I told them and I prayed for them. And he said to me, but he doesn't know where to go. And I said, I hear Abuja in my mind. Pray about it. And he said, okay, but I don't have anybody in Abuja. And I told him, when you get to Abuja, when you get to Jos, go to Abuja, arrive early in the morning. Just do evangelism on the streets. As you begin to preach, you will come across somebody who will receive the gospel and give you a place to stay. And exactly like I said, it happened. So I was giving that illustration and I mentioned all of that. Then after a few years, I began to hear that they were saying that I didn't ordain Paul Enenche, that Paul Enenche doesn't know me, that I'm envious is because his church is bigger than mine. That's why I'm trying to identify with him by force. And all those talks began to come out. And then people started asking those questions again. And I said, I have nothing to benefit in saying I used to know Paul Enenche. I ordained him in February 1996 in Uyo Power City on the 7th.
Oh, wow.
7th February 1996. The guest speaker that preached that day before I ordained him is Archbishop Isaac Idahosa.
Wow.
Who was the vice presidential candidate of NNPP. He preached that day. Panampesi Paul sang. Wow. With his team. Aide was there, Tom Moses was there. They sang before I ordained him. So it was not done at the back. It was done right in front of people. There are members in my church today who were there when it happened. Lawyers, doctors, they were all there on that day in February 1996. And then he went to Abuja and started the church. And when the church was to move into Sheraton, because they had a guy called Adamu who received Enenche, gave him a place to stay in Abuja. His name is Adamu. And this Adamu of a guy sponsored for them to move into Sheraton because the parlor they were using was no more enough. So when they moved into Sheraton and got the smallest room in Sheraton that takes 80 people, he called me to come and preach. I went to Mina to preach for somebody. I had to come back to Abuja to come and preach for him. And on my way, I took Archbishop John Praise and Bishop Jonas Katung. They are ministers, they are still alive. They came with me and I preached for him in that 18 people service. Then after that, we arranged a conference where I went to Abuja in 1997 January. And I preached. And after the preaching, Archbishop Idahosa was with me. Archbishop started telling them, all of you need to come to Uyo for Power Word Convention in February. Because then all the people that submit to me spiritually, when I'm doing my convention, they come from all with their church members to attend. You understand? So when they began to say that I didn't ordain him and all kinds of things began to fly, I just went to my archives and I pulled out the first video and I threw it out. Videos don't lie. And I have others, but I didn't want to get to that level.
Did he say you did or he said you didn't?
He has not said I did or I didn't. But his friend Ibiyeomie in Port Harcourt said I lied, I'm a thief. They say I'm a rat. That rats don't give birth to giants. And so last Sunday I said to them, and they forget that it's a small David with stone that killed the giant Goliath. I have nothing to benefit from that story other than putting the record straight.
What's the issue with Ibiyeomie that you have? Because for him to have replied like that, it seems he's really angry at you.
Maybe the tithe, the transactionary gospel. You know, I have many enemies now because of that.
Yeah.
But I have no worries. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I just need to put the record straight so everybody will see what is there and what is not there.
Do you think they are angry, Ibiyeomie and the rest of them, much respect to him, and plenty other pastors? Do you think that most of them that are visibly angry and it's coming out on social media, which everybody's saying, do you think they are angry because they think you are spoiling the gospel, because they believe that, oh, how can he be fighting
When
the
I was
body of
preaching
Christ?
that gospel, that I was a master in that gospel. Some of them is my template they are using.
Yes, because there are videos of you saying that
Me.
if you don't pay your tithes, devourers will come for
I
you.
was Baba. That gospel. Most of them is from me. They learned. When I started ministry, Ibiyeomie had not become born again. He had not been born again when I started. He was still in Sele. When I started,
He's a Celestial Church?
yes, he's from Sele. Okay? That's what they alleged. But when I started ministry, I had not come into the kingdom. I started ministry in 1984. 1984 was when I started preaching. Not born again.
Oh, you can be preaching and not be born again?
No, he was born again before.
That is, I wasn't born again in 1984. I was preaching gospel in 1984.
Okay.
So it's not today. It's not today.
So when did this change? Did your format cast?
My
Respectfully.
format didn't cast. What happened was, you know, that shade of the gospel came in very slippery. I didn't even know when it came in. It was a gospel that started by saying, men of God should not be poor because God is not poor. Like that. It came from America. And it started making sense. And then we started seeing some men of God raising money and living better. So we also wanted to live better. So we bought their ideology and we improved on it. And it worked for a period for me. I was all over the world. They were inviting me everywhere. I was the darling of all of them. And nobody attacked me when I was preaching that.
Because they were making the money.
The moment I shifted, and why did I shift? I got to where I was feeling empty. I will raise the money, collect all the things, drive with convoy, entourage, policemen, mobile police everywhere, all over. But I wasn't happy.
A man of God.
Yes.
Feeling empty.
Yes. I began to ask myself, is this all that there is to God? Give, take, give, take. I told my wife it doesn't make sense anymore. It's either my ministry has finished or I'm done with. So we left church. We left our church. We traveled. I took 1 month away from church just to pray and ask God, what's this? I'm no more happy. I don't want to do it again. And it was in the midst of this research and prayer that I came by Andrew Womack. Andrew Womack is a preacher in America. I don't like his style because he speaks very gently. I'm wild.
Yes.
So I didn't like his style. So I came by all his books. I bought all of them. And as I was reading the first book, first 8 pages, I knew what was wrong with what I was doing. And because I had done theology, I understand Christology. So now everything started falling in place.
Making sense.
So I came back to our church. I went to the pulpit. I said, church, I am apologizing sincerely. All the things I told you about tithe, seed, all that is not true. Please forgive me.
Wow.
If you allow me, I will make the record straight. But if you feel you can't trust me anymore and you want to leave, I understand. But those who can stay, I will make the record straight. Half of our church left. Half stayed. Then I started teaching. I started correcting things. I opened the Bible and we went from chapter to chapter explaining those concepts. More people left. Some stayed. And I told my wife in the beginning, even if we lose everybody, it's better we lose everybody to do the right thing than keep doing the wrong thing with everybody. And then we began. We began to teach. And then more people began to love what they were hearing me teach. And a lot of people started coming back to our church. They started coming back and we're growing and growing now. We're all over the world preaching this same gospel. And today I am the happiest for it.
Wow.
I'm so at peace with God. I'm not playing anybody. I don't have to calculate how to collect your money. I don't have to lie to you. I don't have to deceive you for anything. I teach you the Bible the way it is. And if you are led to sow and support our ministry, we take it. If you are not, we're okay. We're contented. I have things I do that get me money. And I'm just happy to serve Jesus.
In all those times when you raise the money, what's the sharing percentage?
There was no sharing percentage. And like I always say to people, even when I was raising the money, it was still for ministry. because we were on television, we were on radio, because that gospel makes you a showman.
Yes.
You
And
have
you
to
were
be
on
a
Benny Hinn.
I even preached for Benny Hinn in Orange County, California. I mean, I was everywhere. I was all over the world.
Did you preach for TG Jakes?
No, I did. I was to preach for Jakes when I went to him. I was to preach for him, and some things. I don't want to talk about it, but that's what it is.